Hi, I'm Mike the Healy Gut Guy. I healed myself of Crohn's and many other digestive issues, and I help many other people do the same. And today we're going to talk about how to deal with intestinal strictures. This is when the digestive tract, the intestines, start to narrow and you start to get blockages and food doesn't go through. It can be very painful and very dangerous. You know, this type of thing can put you in the hospital. So it's very important. I advise you to stick around this episode. All right, guys, so intestinal strictures, what are they? There are two types of strictures that we need to be aware of. There's one that's inflammation-based, and there's another one that's scar tissue-based, and these two are both controlled by different things. They're amplified by different things and de-amplified by different things. So first, we have to understand what's going on in the gut in the first place. Why are there extra gut cells? Why are there extra intestinal cells developing in your gut? So what's going on here, from a German new medicine perspective, there's cell proliferation going on in the gut. There's a narrowing. There's extra gut tissue here. Now the conflict theme, what do the intestines do? They digest and absorb things. It could look like this. So the purpose of these extra gut cells is to help you digest and absorb this hard to digest thing in your life. So in the conflict active phase, it's cell proliferation. The amount of these cells depends on the intensity and the length of the conflict. Okay, so let's say you get in a fight with a family member. If you get in a fight, it's a short fight, it only lasts a week. You're probably just gonna get a little bit of cell proliferation and you won't even notice it. But if you're in a really long fight, maybe there's a death in the family and you guys are fighting over the will and people are stealing money and stealing land and stuff like that, and it goes on for years and years and years, you don't talk to them ever again, stuff like that, there's going to be lots of cell proliferation because there's lots of things you cannot digest, you cannot absorb. Your body is trying to help you do that. So if that goes on long enough, these extra cells will build to the point where it starts to block food. That's where this is coming from. So when the conflict gets resolved, the body starts to get rid of these extra cells. And this process gets interrupted if the conflict resumes. Let's say your family member's like, hey, you know what? It's no big deal. I'll let you have the money from the will. No big deal. And then you're like, oh, great. That's awesome. You guys hug it out. And then a few days later, you find out that, they were just, pulling the wool over your eyes. They were tricking you. And so you're conflict active again. So when you thought it was resolved, your body goes, okay, I don't need these extra gut cells anymore, and it starts to get rid of them. That's when you get the gut pain, because we're removing physical flesh from the body. You get the gut pain, the diarrhea, the blood, and the mucus in the stool. That's what's causing those symptoms, but then you become conflict active again. So now it's like in this weird state where it's breaking down these extra gut cells, and it's like, wait, we're not done. And then it starts to build them back up again. And when that process happens, some of us have been dealing with these issues for years and years and years and years. We're really stressed out, and it's like constantly back and forth. That's when things start to get messy, and it starts to turn into, the intestines just start to warp in very weird, odd shapes, because there's like so much cell loss and cell proliferation, cell loss, and it just turns into a mess. And that's how, usually the scar tissue will form when it's like a lot of back and forth. And scar tissue is not easy to deal with. It doesn't go away fast. It's really not supposed to go away. Like scar tissue is what forms like when it's done. Like, hey, we're done. The scar's there. That's the best we could fix it. That's what the body's saying. Like, that's the best we could do. Let's leave it like that. So a lot of the times when it's like, they'll reference to like a fibrosis. It's very scar tissue-y. I guess they would figure that out with a biopsy. Sometimes just leaving it alone, the scar tissue will slowly go away. It will break down over time. The body will fix it over time. Or you get this little part cut out. And you got a super long small intestine. A lot of people do these operations and they're fine. But the other type of stricture that we do have quite a bit of control over is the ones caused by inflammation. So let's focus on the inflammation here. And we kind of covered this first one here. So you've been really conflict active. Your body's developed these extra gut cells. And your intestinals are narrowing. You probably don't know. You can't feel this. And then the conflict gets resolved. Okay? And when the conflict gets resolved, what happens is water will enter the tissue. It becomes inflamed. Water will enter this tissue. What do you think is going to happen when water enters this tissue? It's going to expand. Water is going into it. This has to happen. It's just part of how biology works. And so this water comes in. It's part of the process of removing these extra gut cells. So that can cause it to become more narrow, okay? And how long this inflammation lasts really depends on whether this conflict is constantly relapsing. You get in a fight, your friends. You get in a fight, your friends. Your friends again. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The other thing that affects this, this will go away. Once, like we get rid of the extra gut cells. It's getting rid of it. This depends on how intense and long the conflict activity was. How many gut cells we have to get rid of. Now, there's something that can make this become exaggerated, and that's something called the kidney collecting tubules. It's a part of the kidneys that regulates how much water we excrete and how much water we retain. So with the kidney collecting tubules, their conflict theme is feeling abandoned, an existence conflict. So imagine you get sent, you're having pain or whatever, and you go to the hospital and they tell you, oh, you got a stricture, we got to cut it out. That's an existence. That someone can interpret that as an existence conflict. Oh my God, I have Crohn's. It's incurable. Oh, I'm freaking out. Da 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 da. He says I can't do it. He says he's gonna have to cut this. Like a very valid situation, reasonable situation to start freaking out about your existence. And so what the body does, it feels like a fish out of water. And so the kidney collecting tubules close up and the body starts to retain water. And that extra water tends to accumulate, where there's inflammation in the body. And right now you have inflammation in your gut because your body is busy getting rid of these extra gut cells because you're in the healing phase of this intestinal program you got running, special program you have running. So these swell up even more because it's just filling up all, your body is filling up this all. If you've ever taken prednisone and you blew up like a balloon, not everyone blows up like a balloon when they take prednisone, but the people who do blow up like a balloon when they have prednisone, they have the kidney collecting tubules active. Okay? They have the kidney collecting tubules active. Their body is retaining more water. And the purpose, think about it. If you're a fish and you're thrown out of water, those are precious seconds that they have. And so the kidney collecting tubules close up. to give the fish more time to get back to sea. And this is essentially, what's happening on a biological level. It's a biological response. It's not logical whatsoever. I mean, it's biological that you're attracted to the opposite sex or attracted to the same sex. It's biological. In a lot of ways, you can't consciously control it. So how do you not become freaked out from a diagnosis? Maybe you get broken up with by a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Existence conflict, refugee, abandonment. And then you're also trying to digest, oh, he's just so crazy. I don't know why he did that, why she did that, da-da-da-da-da-da. So there's a lot of situations where this perfect storm can happen and cause these nasty symptoms. So the question is, what you need to focus on, step one for everybody is to, stop blaming everything else. And instead, you need to look for ask yourself this right now, what is the stress that caused my digestive issues? What do I get stressed out about now? What was stressing me out before when my digestive issues first started? For me, I can't recall the exact thing, but I think it had to do with breakups and romantic relationships during college. But I've always had a very short temper, very angry, mad, frustrated at the world sort of attitude. And so in the intestines, it's indigestible anger. In the colon, it's just an ugly, indigestible thing in your life. What makes you emotional? What makes you stressed out? That is the first step in figuring this out, because that's the things we need to come to peace with to ultimately make this go away. This does not go away overnight, but this inflammation can drastically reduce if you understand what's going on and that you know that you have control over it. Because if you go to the GI doctor, they're just going to tell you, we have no idea, you need to go on drugs the rest of your life, and even that doesn't work, oh, it could give you cancer, maybe it doesn't. You just get more confused and probably pissed off. I was super pissed off at my GI doctors because they were so incompetent and just didn't know basic shit. So this is what's happening. Okay, we could see it in the brain. Dr. Hammer could see it in the brain CT scans. If somebody had the kidney collecting tubules, they were retaining a lot of water. When they took prednisone, they blew up like a balloon. He would look at their brain CT scans and he would see in their brainstem in a very specific location, 100% of the time, that they would have a ring-shaped formation, a Hammer focus. So that's what's going on here. There's also one other thing that I forgot to mention. The intestinal muscles. So the intestines are lined with muscles. And through a process called peristalsis, the food gets pushed like a snake. It gets pushed through the intestines. And when there's something hard to digest in our life that isn't moving forward, let's go back to the relationship analogy. Everything that I try, I bought her flowers, I bought her a teddy bear, I spend more time with, and she still doesn't like me, she still wants to break up and date my brother, blah, blah, blah. Everything that I do, it doesn't matter, even when I make more money and blah, 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 blah. This hard to digest thing, this relationship isn't moving forward. No matter what I do. And so what the intestinal muscles are going to do, okay, you need help moving this hard to digest thing forward in your life. It's going to put more pressure behind. If something's not moving forward here, it's going to put more pressure behind it and open it. So you might feel bloated. And so if that happens in the same location, so you have if this narrows because, the muscles are clamping down right here, that could also intensify the consequences of having a stricture. So guys, step one is identifying what stress is causing these things. get out a piece of paper and make a timeline and start to figure this stuff out, because that is step number one. That is the most important thing for you to do right now. And once you figure that out, you need to start asking your brain, how are some ways I can deal with this in a less stressful manner, because it's costing you your health, and it's going to cost you your life or a section of your intestines right here if you don't come to peace with this, if you don't handle it in a good way. So guys, I hope this information helped you out. Sometimes doing things like enemas and taking magnesium supplements that can relax the intestinal muscles and cause it to expand, allowing you to have a bowel movement. But in certain situations, sometimes things need to be cut out when it's too far gone. It's been going on for a long time, but it just depends on the situation. But I hope this video gave you more information to make an educated decision on some of these big important life decisions. All right, guys, I'm Mike, the Heal Your Gut guy, and if you want to know what I did and what my students did to get better, check out the homepage of my website, healyourgutguy.com, and I have a 30-day plan for you. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.